Here are questions 20 to 24 for the January and 2015 Regents. Number 20, I know we did in class, but I'll go over it again in case you missed it. If a sequence is defined recursively by f of 0 equals 2, and f of n plus 1 equals negative 2 times f of n plus 3, for n that is greater than or equal to 0, then f of 2 is equal to one of the following. So first what you need to know is that a recursively defined sequence, it depends on the term before it. And you always need to be given a starting value, and they did. They gave you that the starting value, f of 0, is 2. It's the first term in your sequence. So this f of n plus 1 just means the next term. Okay, so if you're finding the next term, so if you're finding f of 1, the next term, you're going to take the term before it, f of n, you're going to multiply that by 2, so I'll write this down here. You're going to take negative 2 first, multiply it by the term before, which in this case is 2, and then you're going to add 3. This will end up giving you a negative 1. So that means f of 1 is negative 1. Okay, so this is our, technically f of 0 is our first term, f of 1 is our second term, and then f of 2 is what we really need to find. So f of 2 is going to use the function, it's going to take negative 2, and then we are going to multiply by the term before it, in this case negative 1, and then add 3. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2, plus 3 gives us our answer of 5. So f of 2 is equal to 5, and that is choice 3 right here. 21. An astronaut drops a rock off the edge of a cliff on the moon. The distance d of t in meters the rock travels after t seconds can be modeled by the function d of t equals 0.8 t squared. What is the average speed in meters per second of the rock between 5 and 10 seconds after it was dropped? Okay, so first we need to know what is the speed of the rock at 5 seconds and what is the speed at 10 seconds. Or rather, what is the distance? So the distance at 5 seconds, all we have to do is plug 5 in for t. So the distance at 5 seconds is 20, and we're talking about 20 meters, and the distance at 10 seconds, we do the same thing, but now we're plugging 10 in for our t, so the distance at 10 seconds is 80 meters. So they're asking us for the average speed. We need to find the average speed, and that's going to be our slope. So if you remember the slope formula, it's the change in y over the change in x's. So in this case, here are our y's, and here are our x's. So we really have the points 5, 20, and 10, 80. Now we're using the slope formula, so this would be our x1, this is our y1, here's our x2, and here's our y2. So when I plug it into the formula, I'm going to take 80 and subtract 20, and then I'm going to divide 10 minus 5. 80 minus 20 is 60, 10 minus 5 is 5, 60 divided by 5 is 12, and that would be choice 1. Alright, I'm going to erase my work so I could work on 22, so if you need more time to copy it down, just pause the video now. Okay, 22. When factored completely, the expression p to the 4th minus 81 is equivalent to one of the following. So p to the 4th minus 81, you see there's only two terms, you see subtraction, both terms are perfect squares, so you are factoring by the difference of two perfect squares. When you factor by the difference of two perfect squares, you're just going to take the square root of each. So the square root of p to the 4th is p squared. So that will be our first term in both parentheses. And the square root of 81 is 9. That will be our second term in both parentheses. And you're always going to have one positive and one negative. Because remember, the square root of 81 is equal to plus or minus 9. It could be positive 9, it could be negative 9. That's why we have our plus or minus. Okay, of these, one of them is, again, the difference of two perfect squares, so we could factor it again. When they say factor completely, that means you're going to factor probably twice, okay? Here's the first time, now we're going to factor one more time. So the p squared plus 9, it can't be broken down any farther. It's not a trinomial that we can factor. It doesn't have any greatest common factors that we can take out, and it's not the difference of two perfect squares, so we have to leave it as it is. The p squared minus 9, like I said, is the difference of two perfect squares. The square root of p squared is p, and the square root of 9 is 3. And now we need a plus and a minus, so our answer will be choice 3. 23. In 2013, the United States Postal Service charged 46 cents to mail a letter weighing up to 1 ounce, 20 cents per ounce for each additional ounce. Which function would determine the cost in dollars C of z of mailing a letter weighing z ounces where z is an integer that is greater than 1? Okay, so if z is an integer that is greater than 1, that means that I'm going to have to pay 46 cents no matter what, okay, plus I'm going to have to add that to 20 cents for every additional ounce. So that needs to be multiplied, and it's going to be multiplied by not how much my mail weighs, not how much my letter weighs, but the additional ounces. So this is the additional ounces. Okay, so the 0.46 is going to be by itself. So anything that says that it's attached to a letter, we're going to eliminate. So it can't be choice 1, can't be choice 3, so it's between 2 or 4. And this is tricky, so we're going to reread certain parts of this. Remember, it says it's 20 cents per each additional ounce. So it's not 20 cents times the weight of your letter, it's 20 cents times your additional ounces. It's an additional ounce once it gets past 1, so we need to subtract 1 from our actual weight of the letter. So it is choice 4. This is why we really have to read the problem carefully, because 2 is a very easy choice to choose, okay? They're trying to trick you, so make sure you read the problem. Okay, last multiple choice question. 24 says a polynomial function contains the factors x, x minus 2, and x plus 5. Which graphs below could represent the graph of this function? So what you need to know, and we actually had a math lab on this a while ago, when you're talking about factors, right, so you have x, you have x minus 2, and you have x plus 5. These are your factors. They had an equation, and they already factored it for you, which is nice. And this all should equal 0. Okay, if I can squeeze it in over there, that should be a 0. So each of these factors, if I want to know where are my roots, I set every factor equal to 0. So I have x equals 0. Okay, so that's already a root. It already has x alone. I have x minus 2 equals 0, and then I have x plus 5 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0 is not alone. To get x alone, I'm going to add 2. So now my other root is x equals 2. And if you haven't guessed it already, I need to subtract 5 over here to get x alone. And my third root is x equals a negative 5. So if I look at these graphs, my roots, again, are where it crosses the x-axis. So choice 1, if we look, crosses it at negative 5, at 0, and at 2. Those are all of the roots that I have. 2 only crosses it at positive 2, negative 5. It leaves out 0, so we can't use 2. And choice 3 over here, it has negative 2, 0, and positive 5, which is not what we need. So our only one that works is choice 1.